Hello there, here I am back again to talk about the Doctor Who wilderness years from 1989 through to 2005, a period when there was only one actual Doctor Who adventure on TV starring Paul McGann. There he is with his sonic screwdriver. This is actually the official Paul McGann sonic screwdriver toy, but I'm not really sure how you would tell it apart from the 5th and 4th Doctor sonic screwdrivers. Probably quite annoying, isn't it? I'll stop that. Of course, I say that's the only TV adventure in those years, but there was actually a surprising amount of Doctor Who on television, if you define surprising as more than one. Despite BBC's apathy towards the thing, there were still several little nuggets that popped out during those years. First of which, perhaps the most obscure one, despite the fact that, like one of the things we're talking about, it has made its way out onto DVD, is Search Out Science. Supposedly a school's educational programme from 1991. It's blatantly the people making this series, just to start with Doctor Who fans who thought, let's do an episode of Doctor Who. Its value as an educational programme is minimal. I watch it with my mother. Yes, I'm a Doctor Who fan who lives with his mother. All the jokes and cliches, they keep on coming. But I watch it with her, and she's a bit of an expert on space. And she was turning purple at some of the stuff in there, especially the claim about the size of Jupiter, which according to her is complete and utter fucking bullshit. Those are her exact words, and then she threw her foot through the TV, like some sort of modern day Ian Levine. Very odd behaviour on her part. So as a science programme, it's not very good. It's just an episode of Doctor Who, and you can tell it was made by people who just wanted to make an episode of Doctor Who, because A, it's got K9 in it, and if you were sort of... This programme's obviously aimed at very, very young school children, because one of the questions it asks is, what shape is the Earth? So we're probably talking about 6 or 7 years old at most. These are kids who would only have a vaguest memory of Doctor Who, even just 2 years after it got off the air. So it's not really anybody who has any fondness for Sylvester McCoy. But it goes on better and has K9 in it. None of the people this programme were made for would have any idea who K9 was. And when he's rolling along, you get the K9 and Company theme tune playing in the background. This is not for children, this is pure fan wank, aimed at people who just want to have one last sight of Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred on TV. About Sophie Aldred, you can tell she made her career as a children's TV presenter after Doctor Who, because she's quite good and endearing in it. The guest alien Cedric is quite annoying. He's an irritating example of a children's TV presenter. What's really impressive about it, though, is that Sylvester McCoy defaults here to his season 24 wacky persona, displayed entirely for laughs and slapstick, which is sort of quite odd to see him doing whilst he's wearing his season 26 costume. It's a bit of a mind fuck, that. The big question about it is what's going on with his umbrella. It's got these large white circles stuck all over it, which is slightly odd. But really it's just more of a curio than anything. And as the completely useless encyclopedia put it at the time, put it in 96, fans were worried that could have been the last ever Doctor Who. And then 2 years later they got Dimensions in Time, the infamous comic relief. Comic relief? Oh, only a bit of comic relief. The infamous Children in Need crossover with EastEnders. But it's completely and utterly insane and made by a lot of people on a lot of drugs. John Nathan Turner, it was his last producer's credit on any broadcast Doctor Who, when he considered it real Doctor Who. And, up until that bit in Army of Ghosts where Jackie sits down to watch an episode of EastEnders, there was really absolutely nothing you could firmly say that wouldn't make it Doctor Who canon. Yes, it's a crossover with EastEnders, but fictional programmes, they can exist in the same universe. Is it any different from the episode last year that said Robin Hood was real, for them to do a special that said that Pauline Fowler is real? Now, of course it's different, you'd be insane to think otherwise. But It does have that charm to it, though. It's endlessly quotable. Madam, what year is this? Who was that terrible woman? You're going on a long trip, doctors. Oh, I've probably got some of those wrong. But yeah, you can have fun with it. And it is something that a lot of the spin-offs have the intended Doctor Who Dark Dimension special words. In fact, it's fun and it's silly. And it sort of remembers Doctor Who is something the British public actually did love. And you could do a comic relief special. Comic relief. Sorry, I've already said comic relief wrongly many times now during this video. Children in Need special, 4 years after it ended, and get most of people to understand the jokes and references. Out of all of them, Peter Davison probably maintains his dignity the best. Spencer McCoy does quite well, desperately expositioning, but it's a bit of a shame that he's stuck in Greenwich, away from all the EastEnders action. But what impressed me about it is actually the Noel's House Party introduction to the second part, where John Pertwee scarily predicts that Noel Edmonds will still be on TV in 2010. Who would have thought that would happen? Maybe he really has travelled beyond the void of the human mind into the future. It's hard to say. But yeah, 20 minutes. Well, no, shorter than that, really. To take out the various introductions. It's harmless enough fun. Of course, the other thing, the main way Doctor Who carried on in the 90s was during the novels. And I must admit, I was probably slightly too young for the books at the time. They started when I was around 10, and I didn't get a very good selection of them. I think the best one out of all the ones I owned was for High Science. I was just slightly too young, maybe would just sort of go over my head a bit, especially with the selection of Time Worm Apocalypse, not really regarded as very good, and it's a third book in a 4-book series. The Cat's Cradle book, written by Andrew Cartmel, with Ace holding a pussy on the front. It was only a really good book, but it's a very adult book and doesn't have much of a doctor in it. And I sort of read a few of the others from the library, like Iceberg, which again doesn't have the doctor in it actually all that much, and it's a bit dull. The Gary Russell one with the Ice Warriors in. So I also never read any of the ones that are regarded as really, really good at the time. I hope that will change that soon with the High Science, not the High Science reprint, the Human Nature reprint. I'm just getting a lot of things wrong in this video. It's my amazing talent, but no editing or re-recording though. I am nothing if not amateurish. So sort of a lot of that passed me by at the time, and I really didn't like New Ace. As I said in my Sylvester McCoy video, the great thing about Ace was she didn't fall into the cliches of a feisty female character aimed at wanky teenage boys. New Ace, that's a hand-which art book and helping the teenage boy to wank. Oh yeah, she wears skin-tight PVC, she's got a gun, and she's cool and bad, fuck off. She just hung around too much like a bad smell in the books to be able to ever really get in them. I was interested in the all Big Finish CDs where Sophie Aldred had to play New Ace. Her performance is terrible. You can tell genuinely she has no idea why her character is acting like this, or in such a slightly rubbish way. Shadow of Scourge is quite a good play, except when she has to speak, and she's clearly thinking, what the hell? Whether some of more recent, I've not heard the new Gallifrey play or the Bernie Summerfield box set with her in yet. I don't know whether she's got a better handle of it now, but certainly the earlier adventures with the attempt to follow the New Adventures continuity showed how poor the character was and what they did to her. Even though Bernie Summerfield is quite a fun character, not perhaps quite as groundbreaking as a lot of people seem to think. That sort of sassy scientist who's always got a bit of a quip. That's basically what all that different what we're planning for season 27 with the sassy safe breaker. pretty much any female character in an action-adventure franchise who wasn't wearing a skin-tight leather catsuit would be the Bernie Summerfield-style character at that point in the 90s, and even today as well. So I can't really speak about books too much, but I did read, get in and out of BBC books at the end of the decade. I would go through spurts reading them, but some of them were quite good fun, especially the McGann Trapped on Earth arc. So I've never really a big embracer of novels, which sadly perhaps, because some of them are very good, a lot of very big TV writers sort of got their big break with the books. But I sort of tell you, most of them went on to write TV rather than becoming successful novelists in their own right, suggesting even they didn't regard themselves as novel writers. It was just a more stepping stone to writing Doctor Who on the telly, really. But yeah, of course, the big thing in the 90s was a Paul McGann film. And unlike Dimensions in Time, yet to be not decanonised by the new series, but instead actually embraced by it in flashbacks and, of course, Night of the Doctor. And the TV movie gets a lot of flack. I do agree it's structured in the wrong way. The obvious, insanely obvious way for it to start is the TARDIS appears in a gangland fight. A little Scottish bloke gets out of it, gets shot, gets took to the hospital, turns into somebody else. If you're part of the audience of kids who didn't really remember Doctor Who, or the American audience who wouldn't really know Doctor Who at all, that's a brilliant opening. That's a hook. That would be a fantastic opening of any film. Who is this guy? What is that box? How did he come back from the dead? Why does he have a different face? What's going on with the ambulance driver? That's your opening to the film. And then he and Grace solve the mystery of who he is, who the Master is. You can have your Sylvester McCoy fly the TARDIS and things going wrong flashback later in the film. It's such an insanely obvious way to do that movie. The fact it doesn't is a bit of a facepalm moment, because you get a big voiceover telling you who Doctor Who is, having lingering close-ups of everything in the TARDIS connected to the old series, and then you get a mystery plot about who this man is, but is completely redundant, because everybody except Grace and the Doctor himself now knows who he is. It's just such a weird and odd thing to do, and really hurts Grace's character, because she's actually quite a good, proactive companion, but you kind of lose, the viewer kind of loses interest in her, because she's trying to find out stuff you already know. So there's a big flaw at the heart of it. But other than that, it's quite an enjoyable film. And all the things that it's criticised for are things that the new series has done since. For Kiss, solving the plot by having gold ejaculation coming out of the TARDIS and shutting everything off and bringing dead people back to life. The last Chris Eccleston episode did that. Did people complain? Well, yes, we did, because it is a bit rubbish, but you can't deny that it's not. It's un-Doctor Who-like now. Of course, even just for 7 years since the show got off the air, how TV was made changed drastically. Doctor Who was basically the last programme made about 3-camera in a studio way, or last drama rather. So the TV movie is always going to be closer to the new series than it was to the original. But I say the TV movie looks and feels a lot more solid and modern than the 2005 episodes do, which as I'm recording this, I'm watching them, and they're less cinematic, stand less well in 2015 than the McGann film does. And that's not having a dig of the 2005 series. The McGann film, basically you can tell its budget isn't as huge as people were claiming. Obviously, the impressive TARDIS set is mostly shadows and darkness. Even that does work very well. But the TV movie also had, I think, a longer shoot than any Doctor Who story has had before or since. I think the only one that could beat it is if you count Trial of a Time Lord as one 14-episode story. And you take Dalek's Master Plan, maybe shot over 3 months, but it only had 12 days in studio plus a handful of pre-recorded film work. Compared to that TV movie, he was shooting for the best part of a month. So it's only natural it looks not just better than the 2005 episodes, but better than a lot of American TV in the same era. It's slightly ahead of a curve in its direction and look. Say the most obvious thing, Fox wanted the new X-Files. The X-Files wouldn't get quite that fancy with its look for another couple of years. Its direction, it was very well made as an American TV show at the time, but the direction of the X-Files was fairly ordinary. Up until about its fifth season, when it started getting more experimental and odd with things like black and white episodes. Certainly compared to what's around it, it looks like a theatrical film. Jeffrey Sachs does very well there. If anybody's seen his big Michael Keaton starring actual theatrical film White Noise, will spot he has exactly the same problem with the TV movie of the ending falling apart and not making any sense. So maybe that was a problem he brought to things rather than the oft-criticised script. I suppose it's hard to say. And there are other flaws as well. The kiss between the Doctor and Grace. Not because there's a kiss, but because it just really comes out of nowhere. It doesn't feel very organic from the script. And also, again, Fox wanted the new X-Files, and the X-Files was entirely based on a will they, won't they thing between the eccentric hero and his rational scientist partner. They don't kiss him apart. They don't. Well, Scully takes off all her clothes and stands in front of Mulder in her underwear at one point. It was a seminal moment in my childhood in more ways than one. But there's a plot reason for that. They don't snog each other just randomly afterwards or anything like that. Mulder just looks at her bum for science. So that doesn't work. But performances were all very good, especially Paul McGann, considering he only had a chunk of a film where he knows he's a doctor. He nails it instantly. He's great fun. He plays a lot of lines, perhaps slightly better than they deserve, especially at the climax. The Ashbrook is great. Yi So. I'm so sorry. Is good fun as well. But of course the standout is Eric Roberts. And Eric Roberts gets so much insanely unfair flack from fans. Even though, A, he's as camp as a master always is, post Delgado, and B, he does it much better than John Sim would a decade later. He's an actor who can embrace it as in a camp in a way that Sim can't. And he's hugely entertaining, huge fun, and always dressed for the occasion. He's fantastic in it, and a worthy villain for McGann. It's a shame, because we now know the Master escaped from that, but Big Finish haven't done anything with him when he's been in the country in the years since, and has gone, I escaped from that and fixed this body. Then Big Finish brought the Jeffrey Beavers Master back to fight McCoy. It would have been lovely to have Roberts face off against McGann again at some point. Jamie Films is a solid stab of 90s Doctor Who. It was really my first embracement of Doctor Who fandom in the aftermath of that. That's when I first toyed with buying the books and got more of the videos. Remember videos, kids? Where you weren't sure you were going to get... Well, you couldn't really buy the entire series on video unless you had a massive and insane amount of space to put it in, which I didn't. So I'd tape stuff off UK Gold. Buy things like the extended Curse of Fenric, which I had to look for in a catalogue in Smith's. Remember that, eh? I've turned into sort of a Peter Kay now. I remember having to go to shops and order stuff by writing out on a form what it was you wanted. Crazy days. And then the next sort of TV moment for Doctor Who was the Curse of Fatal Death, which is A, funny, B, shows how Doctor Who was sort of very, very fondly remembered still 10 years after it had finished by the BBC. And also, of course, it's written by Stephen Moffat. And it is his entire era of running the show in 20 minutes. Timey-wimey stuff, working through the Doctor's regenerations as fast as possible so he could explain and do the Doctor's final regeneration into a new form. Sex change regenerations. Doctor Master sexual chemistry done blatantly, with them going off at the end. It's more like a typical Stephen Moffat script than his Ninth Doctor Enter Child arteries. This is very funny and sweet and lovely as well. Of course, the other thing that started in 1999 was the audios, which I've been a devout listener to for 16 years now, or there's been in a way the gap, same length of time as a gap between Survival and Rose, and they've had their fallow periods, particularly at the moment. Main range isn't hugely up to much, but again, hugely influential on a new series, in terms of adapted storylines and ideas, and at their best, they are some of the best ever Doctor Who. Slightly hamstrung by the fact that obviously, especially initially, were intended to, well, they were bought by people who perhaps weren't that interested in audio Doctor Who, but more wanted a placebo for the TV series. So, as shared by love, a lot of them stopped buying when the TV series came back. It took a while for it to build up its audience again. So you get random things like the main range stories are split into 4 episodes, even though they're only on 2 CDs, and there's absolutely no reason for that to be the case. And that gets even sillier, like the McGann and Tom Baker audios are only on 1 CD, but still split into 2 episodes, which can quite often hurt the pacing of those. But sort of overall, the best of them is amongst the best of all Doctor Who. And they came out at a point where, after the failure of the McGann movie, there was a sense of Doctor Who was finally irreconcilably dead. There'd probably be a big budget Hollywood film of it, remake at some point, as there is of any old TV show anybody's ever heard of. That would be awful. But as a TV series, following the adventures of the original continuity, that would be it. And then that wasn't it. The announcement it was coming back, surprised, delighted everybody, killed Scream of the Shalka dead, and that's a shame because Scream of the Shalka, originally Grant as the new official cartoon Ninth Doctor, who was the official Ninth Doctor for about 10 minutes, I believe, he's not very good in it. Which is because he's great in The Curse of Fatal Death. But it's a solid enough story. It preempts a lot of what the new series would do. Again, I think because Paul Cornell, like Russell Davis, was thinking in terms of what modern TV is like. It's not a shame that didn't go on to become a thing. Because we've got a hugely successful TV series, he said. And that is sort of wilderness years then. Best part of 2 decades of disappointment and oddness and niche products only bought by fans, followed interspersed by brief periods of excitement. I'm not even mentioning things like the comic strip, which from the 8th Doctor, Doctor Who comics were brilliant. Or the fact that every media seemed determined to write out Ace in different ways. Or that Vodafone advert where Carl McLaughlin goes looking for a time machine and does a spot for John Pertwee has got one. Very, very strange time. Very strange time to become a fan as well, sort of become accepting of the sort of nicheness of it. The final example of that is the DVDs, which have always slightly annoyed me because they're aimed solely at hardcore Doctor Who fans who were conditioned by the way the video releases were done to expect them to be done in the same way. Randomly ordered, over a long period of time, individual stories. And you know, people like the way the DVDs were released. We get up, every story will be remastered with best ability, and you get loads of special features. And that's fair enough. And yes, you could have come up with a consistent method of releasing Doctor Who in season sets because of the very lengths and some of the missing episodes and so on and so forth. But equally, it's a complete fuck off to anyone who's become a new fan since the new series, or anyone who has fond memories of Tom Baker or Colin Baker and wants to relive those. There's well over 100 individual Doctor Who DVDs, multiple releases of some stories, including just some in different packaging. It's a mess. It's uninclusive. And yes, you get lots of special features, but having watched them all in order, you realise it's mostly the same stories told over and over again. You could cover the making of each season Doctor Who perfectly well in 1 hour documentary on each season set. A lot of in-depth stuff doesn't you hear things about Pertwee's bouffant, or what a dick and Matthew Waterhouse was at the time. It's a shame. I mean, maybe we could say, hey, I would like to try some old Doctor Who because I joined a new series. I'd say to him, you might as well just illegally download it, because buying the DVDs is a bit of a headache. And that's such a shame. Hopefully, with streaming and online downloading become more of a thing, places like Netflix and iTunes will order the runs of each Doctor more sensibly, give you the option to buy whole seasons at a reasonably cheap price, and make it easier to sort out if you're someone that's stepping into this world for the first time. That's my DVD wrap there, which is a bit of an odd place to end this Wilderness Years video. But hey ho, next time, the triumphant return with farting aliens, burping wheelie bins, and a lead actor who didn't want to be there by the end. The fact that 2005 season of Doctor Who actually was a huge, massive success is in and of itself amazing. So join me in probably a week or so for my Christopher Eccleston video.